Um, can you tell us your name?
My name is Tourish.
And you've travelled, and you're not from here, are you?
I'm from Buncrana, County Donegal.
And how long did it take you to get here?
4 hours.
Oh, thank you so much.
4.5 hours, actually.
4.5 hours, thank you.
Yeah.
The amount of traffic here in Dublin is absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
So this is a story about your child.
Yes.
And how old is your injured child now?
She's 19 years old.
19.
Almost 20.
Okay, so one of the things that they like to call us is anti-vaxxers, which clearly we're not because we vaccinated our children. So can you go back and talk about when you were pregnant with your daughter, what were you thinking about re-vaccines?
Really, I hadn't thought about it. I have an older son and he was vaccinated as normal and no problems. And she was 5 weeks premature. He was actually 6 weeks premature as well, but she was 5 weeks premature and vaccinated as normal until her 6 months DPT vaccination. And after her DPT, she lost the ability to weight bear on her legs. She couldn't sit up anymore. She couldn't feed properly. And she cried a lot.
So, and how old was she when she had that?
She was 6 months.
6 months.
But then I was told afterwards, because she was premature, she probably should have been left for another month or 2 months before having it.
So before she had her vaccine, the DPT, can you describe what kind of a baby she was?
She was a very happy, bubbly baby, very, very healthy, never sick. But after that, she had chest infections all the time. She had pneumonia. She had continuous sore throat, and still would even suffer from chest problems and sore throats as well, apart from all her other problems.
Did you continue to vaccinate her after
No.
that? You stopped?
She's never had anything since that.
And how has it affected her today?
She's now been diagnosed with global developmental delay with a learning disability and autism.
When did she get that diagnosis?
She was 2.
And
I had to fight hard for that diagnosis as well. They just put it down to developmental delay, but there was no help for any child that had developmental delay, so I had to keep fighting. And when she got her diagnosis of autism, things sort of moved, I suppose, help-wise then. There were more interventions available for someone who had autism, and it's been a tough journey.
I can imagine. I mean, I know. Tell me about her today. No, I mean, does she speak?
Very, very little. Her speech continues to improve, but there's times I think the health board, the health services and educational services would nearly give up on someone who doesn't develop speech at a certain time. But she's 19 now and she continues to develop her speech. She has since lost her speech therapy since she turned 18. Services seem to stop. Your diagnosis disappears. It's just horrendous, really. No services really for adults.
Here in Ireland, no services?
Very little.
And so what does she do? Is she at home with you?
No, we opened a new placement just there in September last year, and she's in a placement with 3 other children. I call them children, 3 other young adults who have left school, and she's very happy there.
And how long can she stay there?
It's open-ended.
Forever?
Yeah, hopefully.
Now you set up an organisation, didn't you?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called iCare, which stands for Inishowen Children's Autism Related Education.
iCare.
Yeah.
And describe why you set it up and what it's all about.
The time my daughter was diagnosed, there were a lot of other children in our area who had similar problems, and there was no help for them. So we decided to set up this organisation to give parental support and to bring in training for parents to cope with their diagnosis. And also we work very closely with our local school, setting up new classrooms, autism specific classrooms. And we lobbied the government. We went to the Dáil 3 or 4 times and got services for our children. And at one stage we had the best service in the whole country. I'd say still we have a very good, our school is excellent, our local school is excellent. We have a very good principal who's willing to bring in any intervention that we require or try out. You know, she's open to whatever we want really. And from there really it has escalated. We now have over 100 families on our books.
And do those parents or some of those parents talk about the vaccines being
A
something?
few of them have, but they seem to be afraid to talk about it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't understand why there isn't more noise made about it up in our area.
Why do you think people are afraid?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people would say that if their child isn't vaccinated, they won't be allowed to go to a certain school or be able to participate in certain things. I've never encountered that. I've never had pressure put on me to vaccinate my daughter any more than she's already had. I've never had any pressure putting on me to give her the MMR or anything. She's never had her MMR. So I don't know the answer to that.
But we're hearing it here. I mean, we've got 3 days of packed of stories. But there are people saying that they've called the ambassadors and said, we're just too afraid to tell our story. So we're hearing that.
Have they
here
been
in Ireland.
threatened, or
They're just afraid of.
But then I feel a lot of parents aren't vocal enough about services or about a lot of other things as well. But this is, for me, this has been a journey since Orla has been 6 months old. I've always felt that that's what caused her difficulties.
How do you feel about the people that protest that it's not true that your daughter wasn't injured and that we're just looking for something to blame?
Well, all I can say to them is she was a perfectly normal baby. She was never sick until that last vaccination, and there was nothing else could have caused it. So nobody will tell me any different.
Because you're her mother.
Yes.
And
I have photographs that prove how healthy she was before her vaccination and how unhealthy she was after it.
And this is the same story that we've been hearing over and over and over again. Different vaccines maybe, but the same story of perfectly healthy before and after. So what advice would you give to the young parent that just doesn't quite know what to do right now because their doctor's insisting that these vaccines are safe and effective?
Well, I would say go with your gut. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to give it, don't give it. That would be my opinion.
It's very good. Go with your gut. We should have all gone with our gut. Do you have anything else that you would like to tell the people about your story or about the work that you do?
I just feel, with the amount of children in our area alone, our school has 740 children. 57 of those children have a diagnosis of autism. There are 3 more coming in September. That makes it up to 60. That's only autism. There are children with ADHD. There are children with other allergies, severe allergies to things, severe developmental problems. Something is causing this, and people need to waken up to it. I would just love if somebody would do a study, take 500 children and not vaccinate them to see what the outcome of that is. That would be my... Why does nobody suggest doing something like that? Something is causing this and it has to be stopped. That's all I can say, really. It's scary. It's getting worse.
Have you seen Vaxxed?
No.
Oh.
I was watching it.
You need to go back in there and try and catch as much of it as you can.
I know.
Thank you so much for coming so far, for telling a story. Now, have you signed Ali's car?
No.
We got the Vaxxed car outside. I think it's being heavily protected right now. But if you're brave enough to go and sign the car, then you should.
I will.
And thank you for the work you do with your organisation as well.
We do our best. We do our best. We provide services really that the HSE should be providing. Our children have nowhere else to go to play. They come to our centre and it gives our parents a bit of respite as well. But they enjoy themselves there, and we've just recently bought a plot of land, and we're trying to build a new centre. But again, we don't fall into any category for funding, so we're trying to, source some funding to build
As
a new
always,
centre.
parents are delivering where governments have failed.
Absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So much. Okay.
Thank
right,
you.
you can go and watch the film quick.
Okay.
Catch it. I think you're just about to have Billy's meltdown on film.